It is covers not the very, very earliest Infocom games like Zork, but more like mid 80s and into the Activision period and going forward. So Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Mind Forever Wandering, those game titles. And it's basically development, marketing, all the stuff that would have somebody working at the company would have been engaged with. It's a digital and paper records. The paper records are pretty accessible. They've also been scanned to some extent by the Internet Archive, so you can see some of the records online. Not all, but there's a lot of digital stuff. Many boxes and boxes of hard drives, which we have in our through Fred, we have it in our forensic system. You can look at it through FTK and all of that, but it hasn't really been looked at too much, with the exception of one or two titles that people were working on. So there's a lot there. I don't really know the nature of that kind of collection. I haven't dug in myself except for one game. I was interested in Steve was at Infocom. This is not widely known. I guess it's okay for me to talk about it because it's so long ago. But Steve was involved in working on what was thought to be Warcraft 3. It was originally called Warcraft Adventures. So the original what became Warcraft 3 was not a real-time strategy game. It was an adventure game. Oh. And it was about the thing that was sort of the beginning of Warcraft 3, this guy Thrall, the shaman, and his life. But it was an adventure game. And here and there, if you really look around, you can find a few screenshots, a little bit of like PC Gamer style articles that are previewing this game and all. But they shut that down and went over to the RTS that became Warcraft 3. Thank goodness. But anyway, one of my favorite games is Warcraft 3. But anyway, Steve worked on that, and there are his files of working on that project. Not a ton of stuff for that particular one, but some really interesting things. There are other games that we have a voluminous amount of documentation on source code, all kinds of things. So that would be, I think, the first stop in our collections. Mm-hmm. We also have some Atari development records. Steve, blanking on Steve's last name. It'll come to me from Atari. He was the head of R&D and different things and was involved in a lot of development. But those are, sort of arcade games. I don't know if that would be that as relevant. We have papers from LucasArts, from one of their main developers. We have from the company with the guy where they did the Thinker, with their Epix, from Epix Games, one of their developers. Those relate mostly to their games on Summer Olympics and Winter Olympics, mid '80s kind of thing.
Are these different collections, or are these all?
Yes, different. No, they're all different collections. I'm just kind of the main way. I would say Steve Moretsky.
Sorry.
If you wanted to focus on a collection that is gigantic and could easily be just the focus, that would be Moretsky. But I'm just kind of rattling off then a few other free association things in case there's something there that's interesting. Then I can get you more information about them. But Moretsky is huge. Eric is probably the person who knows the most about what's in that collection besides Steve. So, so that's where I would go first. I mean, the little bit that you touched on in Cabernetti would be relevant, but I think Moretsky would be closer to what your project is about.
So before we move on, we have a bunch of other questions, but is it possible for us to come down and see the collection?
Yeah, it's processed. What you'll want to do is, hold on just a second. I'll just say it. You'll want to look at the finding aid for the Moretsky collection. So that's an OAC, which is the Online Archive of California. If you just Google OAC Moretsky, MERETZKY, you should get it. If you don't, let me know. The thing I was going to check right now is just, there was a period where we had a little bit of a dark hole for finding aids getting to the OAC, where there was an interim period where the metadata archives position wasn't filled. And for some reason, that seems to have been a sweet spot for a lot of really interesting collections. So check it out. Check out if it's there. If it's not, let me know. You would but it's processed. So you would be able to look at the materials.
Uh-huh.
The digital part of the collection, which is, I predict is probably where most of what you're interested will be, will require that when you come down, we coordinate ahead of time with our digital archivists, and they know, because they're going to have to set you up at the FTK, where they have the FTK stuff set up. The files are not publicly accessible. They're reading room access, but really the only way to do things with the collection is through FTK, which is set up at a special workstation and all of that stuff. So the digital archives will have to help you, but there's no restrictions that would keep you from doing it. Just technology basically that we need to set up.
If we were to, let's say, maybe come down like sometime in January to see that, would that be a possibility?
Check the finding aid, and then I will ASAP, and then let me know what dates you have in mind, and I'll then connect you with the digital archivists.
Perfect.
We have two. You know Peter, right?
I do.
So Peter, but you haven't met Sally.
No, I don't think I met.
Right. So Sally is now more the full-time special collections digital archivist, and Peter is now more the special projects person.
Okay.
So I'm guessing you'll probably be working with Sally more, but I would still, because Peter knows you and knows the project, I think he might want to be involved. So I'll just do a thing where I connect you to both of them again.
Perfect.
Knowing that you already know Peter, but and they'll have to, work with you to figure out exactly how things are going to be set up and where. Okay. So I think January, I don't see any reason why January is not possible, but I think we just need to sort of set things up as soon as you're ready.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Late January. I'm actually at the Hawaii International Conference on System Sciences
through
mid.
Oh, okay.
I have a doctoral consortium at a conference in Hawaii until mid-January.
One of those things. I know somebody who went on one of those. Actually, it's you might know Judd Ruggles. Do you know him in Arizona? Okay.
I'm making a note, though.
You know how you get those emails about these conferences that are off in these places? He said it was in Hawaii, and he said, I have no idea what this is about. You know what? I'm going to do it. And he did it. And he said, he submitted, he just took some paper he had and he threw it in and all that. He ended up going to Hawaii for a week. He said he kind of showed up for maybe half an hour to give his paper, and that was it. Complete boondoggle. So I believe you.
I do actually try to go to the sessions.
Yeah.
My wife is coming along, but she's bringing her mother, who's never been to Hawaii, so they can have fun while I'm in session.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
We have a couple days either side, though. Did you have a follow-up? Did you? Well, so I was looking at your online, your CV online. Uh-huh. You're co-editor of the Game Histories book series.
Yes. Can
you describe that a little?
Yes. So there was a conference several years ago in Montreal called the Game History Conference that a group of us co-organized. And after that, two of us, Rayford Gwynns and myself, decided that there were some things we wanted to happen in game history. The first was we wanted to promote actual history of games as opposed to what was passing for game history, which was more like chronologies and fun facts about old games and things like that. So really like academic history of games. And the second thing was, well, we wanted very intentionally to have a very plural idea of what the game history was. So that's why the title is Game Histories and not Game History. So that means some of our experiences were saying to us we really needed to look at how to be as diverse and inclusive as possible in this idea of these histories, which is partly identity groups, but also partly method. Just a diversity of methods and approaches to game history. The first two books were collections of essays. The third book, just out, is Yaroslav Svelch's History of Gaming Behind the Iron Curtain, which is exactly the kind of thing we wanted to promote. So it's a topic Nobody knows anything.